Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube, and welcome to, of course, another Metaltober 2020 video. This one is, of course, actually I haven't done a movie-based Metaltober video or Halloween-led video not since in 3 years, not since 2017. So I thought I might as well bring back at least the movie-based style title videos. This, of course, just from the title is horror movies I like to watch in October. So I pulled out at least from what I've got at least in the from my movie collection and so on. Again, at least there's at least a few DVDs, Blu-rays, and even one VHS. So again, this is all from my personal collection here. So again, these are definitely films, and I picked out the ones that I really like the most, anyways, instead of just ones that I feel probably don't add much to it, anyways. But I definitely picked out the ones that definitely for sure are definitely the ones I really like to watch, anyways. And again, they're not in any particular order, so let's definitely get right into it. The first movie is this is definitely the one. It definitely has deserved to be at least the first one to show here, because if I had the first film, then that would have been at least for sure in here. I've only I don't know whatever happened to the VHS, anyways, but this is, of course, Scream 4. The reason is for one. If I had at least the rest of the three films, if I had to at least pick with any of the three, it probably would have, or at least of the four here, it probably would have been the first two. But this one, I still definitely put at least above better than the third film. And of course, the memories. I actually remember seeing this in the theaters when it did come out. But I do like this film, actually. I know that this definitely was panned by at least fans and critics, but to be quite honest, I actually liked it. I know that there are some people that said it was worse than 3. I don't know. From my personal opinion, at least of my honest opinion, I thought it was better than 3. 3 just felt like a fucking throwaway film, but still, for what this is, I wouldn't say I like it as much as the first two, and that's only for just nostalgic memories for me, but I actually still kind of like this one. I think it was definitely, the violence was definitely what was definitely brought up a little bit more. So still, this is definitely at least the first title that would definitely be shown to begin with, at least in one of these. So still, I definitely like to pull this out anyways, to watch anyways. So Scream 4 there. The next one, even though this is more of a 4-movie pack, there's only one movie within this pack that I definitely watch the most, and it's a big fan favorite of mine. It's a personal favorite, but it's mainly for Creepshow. Now, I know the most of these films were all Stephen King based films anyways, again from some of the titles, but the main reason is Creepshow. For sure. I mean, technically, it's mostly considered a George A. Romero film, but it was a collaboration between him and Stephen King, and it's just a big favorite of mine. I love even just the whole film, even from Tom Savini's practical effects and so on. It's just just a great film that I like to definitely pull out. I'm also a fan of the series as well. I still have to get around of watching the second season. But I definitely dig Creepshow. It's just one of my personal favorites, especially when growing up. Some of it's actually kind of creeped me out as a kid, but these days, those are the same reason why I love it. So, they're mainly for Creepshow. Next up is another personal favorite of mine. This one, it's cheesy, and it does fit in more with the metal stuff here, but that, of course, is Trick or Treat. Which again is the most infamous film because of also, I mean, the soundtrack for the film was done by Fastway, but still, it's mostly remembered for the fact of having cameos from Ozzy and Gene Simmons, which Gene Simmons had more of a part in the film than Ozzy did. Of course, this is not the artwork that everyone is probably used to if you're all familiar with this film. The artwork would have been the artwork for, of course, the Fastway album, Trick or Treat, the soundtrack. It would have been that artwork, but they chose this very generic cover art for it. Which again, they obviously found, I think, a picture of Ozzy from probably a magazine or photo shooting for Gene Simmons, another probably photo shoot or so. Because again, that's how Gene would have looked in the film. And even the weird thing is, they fucking threw even the back cover of behind the scenes special making of special effects thing in the back. It was so fucking it's so fucking generic. I don't know what other scene that this is fucking thing is taken from. I don't remember that actually being much in the film. I think I might do, but it's just them working on shit. It's like it's so generic, but as far as the film goes, it's cheesy for 1986. But again, I definitely have a soft spot for this film. So Trick or Treat, there from 1986. This next one's a more of an obscure title. This was actually I was turned on to this film from actually my brother, and this was given to me from my brother anyways. But this is The Undertaker, and the thing is, it's best known for having actor the late Joe Spinell, who was best known for, of course, as far as horror films, Maniac. If you're all familiar with that film from 1981. Which, as a kid, seeing that from my brother bringing home that the DVD copy of that, it always left a big impression on me just from that. But of course, it would be years later before I actually would finally would at least be old enough to see Maniac. But this one, in many ways, I guess in some ways, kind of fits in the somewhat the same category as Maniac in some cases. Still, this is definitely more of an obscure slasher film. This is actually, I think, the first Blu-ray release, because it was from Vinegar Syndrome. But definitely just an obscure title. This is probably one of those films you're probably never gonna get see, at least played on movie channels or even TV to begin with. And the thing is, this is probably like kind of probably the most full cut you might get of this film as well. So. But it's definitely an obscure title, and it's definitely one I definitely will definitely plan on pulling out anyways this October to definitely revisit this film for sure. But The Undertaker from, I think, 1988. Definitely an obscure title for sure when it comes to slasher films. Speaking of, in the same vein, and when it comes to, in like a Trick or Treat, this, of course, is, though, this actually is a Stephen King film, Maximum Overdrive. I know normally when people want to pull out Stephen King films for at least the watch in October, it'd either be like Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, or there's plenty of other titles that I've already kind of losing me. But still, this was one of his more directorial debuts. But it's a fun film to watch, of course. Just like with Fastway doing the soundtrack for Trick or Treat, AC/DC doing, of course, the soundtrack for Maximum Overdrive, which, of course, the soundtrack was for at least the film Who Made Who. Still, it's definitely not really much of a horror film. There is definitely horror elements, but I always kind of saw this as more of a crossbreed between action and horror. But it's a fun movie, and it's perfect for this time of month anyways. It's to me just a great, just a definitely for sure. I wouldn't say guilty pleasure, because I actually love this fucking film. So definitely that's one of my favorites I like to pull out as well during this time of month. Of course, this is the Vestron Blu-ray release, which has a lot of great bonus features, a lot of great fun stuff. That it's definitely jam-packed with that kind of stuff. It's a fun movie as well. So there you go, Maximum Overdrive. All right, this is the only VHS in the lot here, but of course, thanks to Bit Bob Boom giving me this about 2 years ago. And again, it's one of my favorite movies when growing up. I mean, I watched the fuck out of this when my brother at least got that special edition DVD copy that came out, I believe it was 2005. But it's, along with Creepshow, one of my favorite George A. Romero films. That, of course, is Dawn of the Dead. This, of course, is the original director's cut, which actually gets considered as the the Cannes Film Festival cut of the film. But this is a classic film. I also have Night of the Living Dead, but to me, between the two, for some reason, this is my personal favorite of the two. And of course, not behind it would actually be Day of the Dead, but I don't have Day of the Dead. But this is definitely just one of my favorite zombie films. This was definitely more of a crossbreed between, again, the horror zombie genre, but with even mixing a little bit of action thrown in there. And of course, a little bit of also some drama as well. This was definitely had quite a bit of going on in the film. And of course, there's definitely some hidden messages and so on within, as far as the deeper meaning behind some of the plot of the film. If you've ever seen, at least some of the behind the scenes talk, at least from the late George A. Romero. I think it was, I forgot the series, but I know Eli Roth has done a series on on the whole horror movie genre stuff on AMC, and I think the episode on zombies had some quotes, and it had some basically them going into at least the deep meanings of for this film. But still, I know that's probably just nameless bullshit to actually add into here, but still, nonetheless, it's just one of my favorite films to begin with. So, Dawn of the Dead. Speaking of other favorite directors as well, I like that. This is definitely one. At first time watching this has become one of my favorite films, especially from John Carpenter. And there's plenty of great John Carpenter films I love putting on, but this is I think doesn't get much love. But this is In the Mouth of Madness, and the first time watching this, I loved it from the beginning. This is just it's definitely one of John Carpenter's, I would say one of his more underrated films, especially during not everyone's favorite time period for at least John Carpenter's films, but this I think is a gem from the 90s period of his films. This is just a great horror film, definitely more so inspired by the likes of Stephen King in some ways, but there's definitely it's more of, again, John Carpenter kind of just definitely taking a jab at times even at Stephen King, for the fact probably because of Stephen King panned his version of Christine. That definitely took a little while. Anyways, definitely it was for Stephen King panning his version of Christine. So yeah, definitely him definitely taking jabs a bit of that at Hollywood and so on. Still, but nonetheless, just a great John Carpenter film that doesn't get much love in my opinion. So, In the Mouth of Madness. Finally, these go hand in hand, but the very first two Evil Dead films, again, both 1 and 2. Again, just one of my personal favorite films, definitely when it comes to even director Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. Just classic films, nonetheless. I also love Army of Darkness. I love the Stars series, the Ash vs. Evil Dead. I love that. I love that series, and I love these two films as well. It definitely. Evil Dead, just one of my favorite horror film franchises. By the time of this one, it really kind of mixed in a little bit of action at times, especially comedy. It was just I would say just a great mixture and blend of some of that stuff. So yeah, just one of my favorites to pull out in this time of month. So the first two Evil Dead films. So there you go. There is my favorite horror movies, or at least horror movies I like to pull out in the month of October. So with that, also I want to know, what are some of your films that you like to definitely pull out in the month of October that you definitely are favorites of, or you just like to pull out in general? I'm very curious. What are your favorites to pull out? So with that, I hope all enjoyed. This is Every Thrash Sam out, and I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.